In this video, I'll show you how to do duplicate stitches on your knitwear, which means that you can sew on color work to your knitting, add color work to an already finished knitting piece. But if you're not comfortable with color work techniques such as inertia, you can simply just add the color on when you're done knitting the piece. To do this, you will of course need the knitwear that you want to duplicate stitch on. You will need a needle, some scissors, and of course the color or colors and the color chart that you will be following. For the sake of this video, I'll do a very simple color chart. It is of course possible to do several colors, and I'll explain that as well. So for this sweater, my plan is to have this heart sort of on the chest, on the side here. When reading a color chart like this, every square is the same as one stitch on the garment. And a stitch is sort of like a V here. You can see that this is a stitch. It is sort of like a loop. And we will simply just color the square from the chart onto each stitch here. So let's take some yarn. It's not very important that you have the correct amount at the beginning because you can simply just add on later. So I will thread my needle like so. And I want my heart to be this way, and I want it placed around here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure where I want it to be. Have it right here, I think. The bottom here will be the bottom here. And what I do is that you come in from below, like so. In the middle, this is a stitch, and in the middle here. And I will leave a short tail in the back to sew in later, and I simply just trace the yarn, this loop here. So what I do is that I go in on the stitch above, like so. I've now traced this side of the stitch, and then I will go back down where I started. I have now done my first stitch, which is the same as this stitch, and I will now work this stitch, and I will do these 3, and then I will do these 5, and so on, all the way up. Go 1 to the side and 1 up. So this is the stitch I'm going to be coloring. I will therefore go in below here, and since I'm working this way, I will go in from this side on the stitch above, and then down again, like so. Then I'll do the next stitch. I'll go up here and above the stitch I'm going to color, and down again. Now if you want to, you can go directly from going down to going up into the next stitch. If you want to be a bit faster, like so. So I've now done 1 row, and make sure that you even out the stitches a bit so they don't cramp as much. And I'll now move on to the next row. So I'm going to do this row here and work this way. So I'm going 1 stitch to the side and 1 up. So I'm going to be coloring this stitch here. So I go in below through the stitch above. I'm now going this way through the stitch and down again. Then I'm going to do the next stitch. So I'm going to color this stitch right here. So I'm going to go through the 1 stitch below and through the stitch above and down again. I just keep going like this until I'm done with my chart. When you just keep working up, and when you come to these parts, you can either pull the yarn over and start sewing on these parts, or you can break the yarn and put new yarn and finish this part here. If you have multiple colors, so you simply just do one at a time with a different color. If you have a chart like this with several colors, you simply just do one at a time with a different color. When you're done with your chart, you simply turn your work over and just sew in the ends as usual. And that's it. That's how you do a duplicate stitch on your knitwear.